back, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be here, and today we're going to be continuing the series of different sets, pieces, books, boards, and play styles that we'll be looking through over the next couple of years. I put out a teaser a couple weeks back for the Alexandria burnt luxury chess set, and this is coming from the Royal Chess Mall. They were able to send a set out, and they're curious about my thoughts, so I spent a lot of time getting really close to the set, thinking about things like durability and playability. What's it going to feel like looking in front of these pieces, coming from behind these pieces? Is it something that can be used day to day, or maybe just once for a special occasion? So let's unbox these things and take a closer look. Coming straight out of Royal Chess Mall's luxury leather case, we've got the white pieces here, and I think they look fantastic. Each piece features a darker burnt collar on the bottom, collar on the top and on the base, and we'll take a closer look as we go. And then conversely, you've got the dark pieces in the base of the case here, and they feature a much larger burnt area, collar, base, and neck included, and headpieces included as well in that. And again, we'll take a closer look at that, but first, let's set this up and see what it would look like in a game situation. To do this each time I do a new set, and that is to enjoy my coffee or tea, but also to talk about shipping, handling, and experience in general. I've gotten I believe 2 or 3 sets now from Royal Chess Mall, and each time I think I'm very impressed with the packaging. What I will say for this video specifically though is they're using thick, internationally graded, great packaging. Each piece is individually wrapped, taped together with a like a thinner styrofoam wrap or a poly wrap of some sort. I think they do a fantastic job. I haven't had any pieces come in damaged. I'm very confident about those boxes. I'd be pretty happy to push it down the stairs and not be too concerned about the chess pieces inside. So I think that's an A+ from my side on there. Pieces a little bit closer to you guys, let's take a more personalized look. So again, talking about this burn pattern, I would say as it lays farther away, it almost becomes more of a texture and less of a pattern as things kind of, especially with the darker piece here. And I think that looks pretty nice. As you get closer, I would say it's more evident, just, you know, like any piece of art. Whether you like that or not is totally up to you. I personally prefer something a little bit farther back in texture, you know, appears more like a texture. So even coming across the board here from the white side out to the 7th and 8th, these appear to be more textured, and I like that as they're played across. So let's take a look at some of the key pieces here, starting with the white side. You've got your rook pattern on the top collars, a little bit less pronounced than the pawns or other pieces. You've got a somewhat shallow bowl, I would say, with notches at the top, an angle coming out to the side, and then these more like column-like etchwork put into the side before you get to the base, where you see 3 rings, your base collar, and then your base ring itself before you hit the felt. Pretty good design, I would say. Let's take a look at the knight straight on. I think some of the listing photos don't show the detail on the snout coming out to the nostrils and the teeth. I think that's fantastic. And then of course the mane itself is something that drew me in early on. Really liking the swish teach direction here from the top. Also kind of interestingly enough is satisfying to grab. Although I'd probably recommend grabbing a knight by the base, not by the hair. So, but extraordinary detail. Really liking that. It's really fun to play with and to look at. Moving towards the bishop, we've got the base and collars as seen. Again, you get your 3-ring pattern to the base before you hit your felt. The collar here, unlike the rook, is a little bit more detailed. And then the edge work actually doesn't just come up the stem of the piece, but actually to the head of the bishop as well. So you see this in the rear of the head of the bishop. The crown is colored black, or burnt black, I should say. And then you get your front etchings as well. Now let's look at the dark side here. I don't think you're gonna be able to see my face unless you're catching me in the reflection of the board, probably right about there. But that's okay. You need to be focused more on the pieces here. I think this is really important. Never open with the rook pawn, by the way. That's ridiculous. Back to the video and away from distractions. I think the biggest thing to note about the dark side here in this set is not necessarily that the patterns are going to be too different. I think they're consistent, but rather than leaving a collar up to be the light side here, they continue the etch work into a light piece of wood, but they end up burning the whole piece to make the black pieces. So yeah, I like this design decision. I think it produces some pretty interesting patterns. And as you can see, I think as you step away from the pieces, it almost becomes a texture and less of a pattern. And I'm a personal fan of that. With the burning process, you do get some lighter and darker spots on the pieces. Like with this rook, for instance, it might be a little hard to tell in the camera, but there's some light blotchy work. And it kind of looks like some of the burn itself can be worn out, and that's not necessarily a huge issue, but that is something that I think buyers should be, thinking of as they choose a set. Again, some of that, slightly blotchy work here on the knight as well. And I think that will become a little bit more pronounced with time, and that's gonna come down to a personal opinion. So all in all, for playability, I'm not gonna lie, I had a very small doubt that the high contrast in these pieces would become annoying and or make the set even frustrating to play with. But I find that actually that doesn't really hinder the play style too much. Even once you get into slightly more complicated positions in middle game or end game, I don't think that any percentage of the lighter side of the black pieces, if you're still with me, is going to confuse you too much. I think it's fine. You're starting to see what I'm talking about. There's a lot of black and white going on. I think it's still visually evident what is what. Maybe not as high of contrast as other sets, but I think it's more than playable. Let's talk a little bit about quality here and consistency. That's fine and dandy. Everybody wants a chess piece that doesn't feel like it's made out of plastic, and I don't think this set suffers from that at all. These feel great. I believe we're expecting about 40 grams per pawn-ish. 37, 6, 37, 38, 45. This one was a little bit heavy, I do remember. So the only point I'm making here is there's going to be variability in consistent design. You got to remember these things have been carved out and there are some differences. I'm not sure why this one pawn ended up being a little heavier. And you can feel the difference of 5 grams if you're really trying to pay attention. I don't think mid-game it's going to be an issue. Again, depends on how OCD you are, detail-oriented. Something to keep in mind. Bishop's coming in about 50 grams, about 50, 60 grams. So, there's differences, a variability of, 5-ish grams. So something to keep in mind. 66. Yeah, those are pretty good. 65. And lastly, let's just do the rooks. 62, 63 grams. And a little under at 59. So I'd say their tolerance is, you know, a few grams here and there. Consistency with handcrafting is really hard to keep. So it's hard to really complain about that. And so as we kind of wrap up the video for today, we've offered a close look at the pieces, some things to consider, including consistency, durability, playability. It all comes together in the form of value. We're spending hundreds of dollars on these lovely chess sets, and we're playing chess probably more than that might be considered healthy. But it's for the love of the game, right? Chess is a beautiful thing, and these are beautiful pieces. I think for 2 sets of marvelous designs, $320 as a value for this durability, playability. If this is the aesthetic that you're looking for, I think that is right where it needs to be. Thanks as always for joining in today. I had a great time playing many games with this set and checking out closer looks. I hope that this video offers that closer look to you. If you're interested in this set at this point, there's a link from me to you in the description, as well as a coupon code for a little extra 10% off from Royal Chess Mall. So go ahead and check that out. There will be more luxury chess videos coming out soon, so stay tuned. And as always, have a great day, and I'll see you on the other side of the board. Cheers.